Red Raiders from across the country opened up their wallets last week to give back to Texas Tech. Coming up, we'll have some record-breaking results from this year's Day of Giving.
The Students Activity Board is known for offering fun and free events for students, and this semester is no exception. MCTV's Yemi Akinyeye has a look at one recent option that gave attendees a chance to get creative and take home a special keepsake.
Markets of all kinds have been popping up on the weekly calendar much more frequently in recent years, bringing in vendors from across the area. But one recent event made its first stop here in the Hub City, generating interest from beyond the South Plains. MCTV's Camille Jones has a special look at Lubbock's first ever modern pop-up market.
And Easter weekend is only a couple days away, and that's causing some changes to the weekly calendar for Texas Tech athletics. MCTV's Logan Lacy has details on how you can catch some action on the on-campus diamonds a little early this week in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Elisabeth Herring.
And I'm Krystal Nelson. Last week, Texas Tech held the 4th annual Day of Giving, encouraging the entire Red Raider community to give back to the university.
And yesterday afternoon, Texas Tech announced that this year's contributions set new records for the annual philanthropic opportunity. In a press release sent out on Wednesday afternoon, the university announced final numbers for the 2026 Day of Giving. A record 2,511 donors contributed approximately $860,000 during the 1,923 minutes of the fundraising campaign. The record number of donors is almost 900 higher than last year and includes more than 450 Red Raiders who gave for the very first time. Colleges and departments identified 132 specific funds across the university, giving donors a chance to support students in a wide variety of ways, including scholarships, experience-based learning, research, and even extracurricular activities. This year's increase in donors also includes current students. Last week's Day of Giving featured a strong push to get students here on campus to donate any amount they could to support Texas Tech. Representatives from colleges and departments could be found all across campus asking Red Raiders to donate, and a special event was also held in the sub featuring free food, games, and giveaways. All donations collected during this year's Day of Giving are a part of the university's On and On campaign. The campaign was launched during the 2024 homecoming weekend with a goal of raising $1.2 billion for the university by 2028.
In other news here on campus, with the Easter holiday coming up, the events calendar is slowing down as the weekend nears an end. But the last few days were filled with options, including a couple events that showcase cultural diversity here at Texas Tech. On Tuesday, the Harris Institute for Hispanic and International Communication hosted the 11th Annual Hispanic Latinx Research and Creativity Symposium. The symposium features research and creative work submitted by faculty and students on the Texas Tech campus, as well as from the Health Science Center. The event ran from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesday, with most of the sessions taking place in the Media and Communication building. But at 12:30, attendees headed over to the form-by rooms at the Southwest Collection Library for a luncheon and keynote speech by Dr. Paula Guerrero Rodriguez, the director of Texas Tech's Spanish language program. The topic of the speech was Voices of Heritage, Spanish Identity and Community in the United States. Following the luncheon, the symposium continued in the MCOM building with student presentations, including a final session featuring student journalists.
Another of Texas Tech's language programs also took time to share their culture with fellow Red Raiders this week while taking advantage of some beautiful spring weather. Chinese Day took place in the free speech area outside the sub on Tuesday afternoon. Students from the TTU Chinese language program hosted the event, giving students passing by some fun ways to learn about the Chinese culture. Students were shown how to use Chinese calligraphy to write the word spring, and then could enjoy several games and activities. The options included tossing pots, spinning handkerchiefs, and playing with flower sticks. Chinese Day event was an opportunity to promote the Chinese language program and find out about course options available to students to fulfill the core foreign language requirement. Tuesday's event was the second Chinese Day held in March. The group also set up in the free speech area on the previous Tuesday, giving Red Raiders a way to experience traditions from the other side of the world. If you would like to learn more about the Tech Chinese program and the courses they offer, you can visit cmll.ttu.edu/Chinese for more information.
The Student Activities Board has been very busy this semester, hosting multiple events and activities each week for Red Raiders, and last week was no exception.
This semester, SAB has offered options for students to enjoy free movies and games, race RC cars, and even give back to community by building flower beds. And as MCTV's Yummy Yak and Yeye shows us, one recent activity also gave Red Raiders a chance to create and take home a special keepsake.
Last Wednesday, the Students Activities Board invited all Red Raiders to participate in a fun and free event at the Wall Gates Residence Hall lobby.
This one's more of a relaxing type of event. This is a daytime event, so we like to do more crafts. So you have the option of making these cute little jellyfish like air plants, or you have a little biome, which is really nice because they're real plants but like easy to take care of, which is really nice. And it's good decor for your room.
Ryan Ruvalcaba is the daytime coordinator for SAB. She helped host the event and encouraged students to get creative. Students can choose from a variety of different elements to make their own mini ecosystem.
It's like a little orb, and then you just have some sand. We got some moss, gems to make it cutesy, the little plants. But yeah, we get this all like shipped early enough for the event.
Ruvalcaba has been a member of SAB since the fall of her freshman year, but this spring she moved into the role of daytime coordinator to take on more responsibility within the organization.
I wanted to be more in the planning aspect because the general members, it's more just working the events, which is still very fun, but I wanted to like plan the events and get excited about like what do I want on campus for activities, really.
Ruvalcaba believes events such as Build Your Own Biome allows SAB to give back to the student community, especially during some of the busiest times of the semester.
I think it's really relaxing, and it just provides like a little time to de-stress, not look at your phone, take a break from, studying and all of that, and it's nice to look at in your room.
SAB has a few more events left within the school year. To stay up to date, search for Texas Tech SAB on Facebook or Instagram. For MCTV, I'm Yummy Yak and Yeye.
Spring weather set in the South Plains this week. Temperatures have been warm, there's been plenty of wind, and some storms have even popped up across the area. So will that trend continue into the holiday weekend? Elisabeth joins us now in the Weather Center with details on what we can expect in today's MCTV forecast. Elisabeth?
Thanks, Krystal. Well, beautiful day today. Yesterday, however, we did see a little bit of some stronger winds as well as some precipitation later afternoon and evening. Today, looking mostly clear outside, a little bit breezy outside as well. It is quite warm today. Highs much warmer than normal this time of year in the mid 80s to upper 80s to even touching 90 in those eastern counties. We also do have a chance for some severe weather tomorrow, even though it may look clear right now. Again, most of that in those eastern counties, a slight risk for severe weather tomorrow, and that includes tornadoes and large hail, which are low on the scale of risk threats. However, we cannot rule them out. High winds and heavy rain are also a risk tomorrow as well. And that's going to begin in the late afternoon, early evening, around 4 p.m. Storms moving throughout the South Plains area and then kind of tapering off, but popping up once again early Saturday morning, late Friday evening, around 12 a.m. on Saturday is when we expect those storm systems to pick up throughout the South Plains, kind of sticking around for a little bit and then hopefully moving completely out of the area by Saturday afternoon. Lows tonight across the South Plains in the mid-50s to mid-60s, so pretty mild for this time of year. Tomorrow, highs just slightly cooler than today, but still fairly warm outside with highs in the mid to upper 80s across the area. Tonight here locally in Lubbock, low of 59. Tomorrow, high of 87 degrees, which a warm day tomorrow with southwest winds at 13 miles an hour. Once again, that severe weather risk in the later afternoon, early evening into Saturday. High Saturday, much cooler with a high of 68 and then 71 on Sunday, and sticking to more spring-like weather as we head into next week with highs in the mid-70s to lower 80s, lows next week in those mid-40s. Well, Sunday is Easter Sunday, and we are going to have a high of 68 degrees with partly cloudy skies. So right now, looking like pretty nice weather for Easter Sunday. However, of course, keep track of the weather with the app as is subject to change, especially here in Lubbock. And if you are traveling for the Easter weekend, stay safe on your travels back home. I'm Elizabeth, and it's back to you, Krystal.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Over the last few years, Lubbock has seen a jump in the number of weekly markets held in venues around the city. Some of those are permanent options available to shoppers every week, but there are also many temporary markets that pop up in the hub city. Over the weekend, MCTV's Camille Jones stopped by one of the gatherings of vendors that was scheduled in the Lubbock for the first time, right here on Texas Tech campus.
So I just saw a Facebook ad and I was like, ooh, let's do it.
People scrolling through Facebook may have seen an ad for the modern pop-up market at the United Supermarkets arena that caught their eye. Co-organizer Kimberly Tarango says the decision to make the modern pop-up market's 806 debut came after years of experience hosting events in West Texas.
We're in Midland, and so we have been doing markets in Midland for about 6 years, and a lot of our vendors come from Lubbock, so we thought we might as well come check it out, and we love Lubbock, so we always like coming out here.
The modern pop-up market brought 85 vendors together on the Texas Tech campus. The market was open to all audiences with an entry ticket of $5. Tarango says her inspiration for the event came from her prior experience being a part of similar pop-up markets.
We actually started out as vendors, and in our area, a lot of the vendor markets were kind of stopping at the time about 6 years ago, and so we decided that it would be fun to have a market, and we didn't understand how much work it was going to be, but it ended up being a lot of fun.
Here at the USA, shoppers were able to find everything from baked items to handmade goods such as accessories, jewelry, and keychains.
So my little store is Get Cute Jewelry & Co. and I sell all types of jewelry. So the main thing is sterling silver 925.
Okay.
And then I have stainless steel, copper jewelry, a little bit of everything, female and male.
Solorio believes that events like the modern pop-up market are an important way to help support the local economy.
Just shop small, support your small businesses, all of us have a story, why we're doing this and all that stuff.
Vendors came in from all over the area, including Audra Jill Hodges, who is based in Dallas. Hodges brought her clothing shop Jillville to the hub city to try out the new market.
I actually have heard about this particular one. I think they do some in Midland, but this was the first one in Lubbock. So heard some good things about it and thought I wanted to go ahead and dip my toe in it and see how it went. I do like the venue, so it's been great so far.
The modern pop-up market finished up at 6 p.m. on Saturday, but Tarango is already hoping to return in the future.
Yeah, we'd love to come back to Lubbock, so we're always looking for opportunities for us to set up and some different businesses that we could work with.
For MCTV, I'm Camille Jones.
The Texas Tech baseball and softball teams are gearing up for the start of their next Big 12 series a little early this week due to the Easter holiday.
And Red Raider basketball is still making headlines. Even though their postseason run finished almost 2 weeks ago, MCTV's Logan Lacy has a rundown of these stories and this weekend's upcoming schedule in sports. Logan?
Thank you, Krystal and Elizabeth. April is here, and that means conference play is in full swing for Texas Tech softball and baseball. But before some Easter weekend games on the diamond, a couple of midweek matchups had to be played. Let's start with softball. Red Raiders softball made a quick trip to Abilene on Tuesday to play ACU. The game started fast for Texas Tech, scoring 2 runs in the first inning off a Maya Davis steal at home and a Jackie Liss RBI double. The Red Raiders then shut out ACU for the next 3 innings before scoring 7 more runs in the third after 2 singles from Mia Williams and Jackie Liss, and Liss went on to steal home plate before a Haley Toney 2-run homer. The Wildcats eventually scored in the fourth, but couldn't stop a run rule victory for Texas Tech with a final score of 9-1. Texas Tech softball will be back home tonight to start their series versus the BYU Cougars at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. First pitch for tomorrow's game is also set for 6 p.m. live on FS1, and the series finale is set for Saturday, scheduled for noon back on ESPN+. Red Raider baseball hosted the Abilene Christian University Wildcats on Tuesday night in their own run rule win. Texas Tech needed a big bounce-back game after they got swept by TCU, and they sure got one, scoring 15 runs. The first 2 innings were successful for the Red Raiders, but not what they wanted as they only scored 2 runs. But the third inning came up big, starting with a Logan Hughes bomb to lead the way in a 5-run inning. They didn't have any huge scoring frenzies after the third, but still kept growing the lead and finally taking the win 15-4. 2 freshmen were also recognized this week, with Jesse Rusnick and Lincoln Garcia being named to the mid-season Freshman All-American First Team by Perfect Game. Texas Tech baseball will stay at Danlaw Field this weekend to face the Houston Cougars, with the first game tonight at 6:30, tomorrow's game starting at 2, and first pitch for Saturday scheduled for noon, with all games streaming live on ESPN+. Texas Tech men's basketball is still in the headlines even after their season ended almost 2 weeks ago. Star forward JT Toppin was named to the John R. Wooden All-America team on Tuesday, while graduating guard Donovan Atwell has been selected to play in the Reese's College All-Star Game tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. That's all for Texas Tech Athletics. Now back to Elisabeth and Krystal.
Thanks, Logan. As we mentioned earlier, several cultures from around the world were showcased on the Texas Tech campus this week during a couple special events.
Another group of students also showed off some music, clothing, and dancing unique to another culture, but with origins that are not of this world. The Tech Folk Orchestra held their spring concert on Monday in the Hemley Recital Hall in the Music Building. The performance was titled the Blade Runner 2030 Solar Punk Band, referring to the alter ego of the folk orchestra. Each semester, the orchestra uses a fictional storyline to craft their biannual performance. Each band originates from the fictional nation of Basenda on a never-ending tour, playing music from a lost world. Once the concept of the band is created, each member of the orchestra then creates their own fictional back story to help them find their place in the band. The idea for the fictional nation and the band was created years ago by professor and orchestra director Chris Smith, along with his partners Chipper Thompson and Roger Landis. The Tech Folk Orchestra is a part of the Vernacular Music Center, which is the home to several groups and ensembles, but the Folk Orchestra is one of the only groups in the School of Music that uses fictional elements to create each semester's performance. The Tech Folk Orchestra is already making plans for fall 2026, with an open call for any student to get involved and join the Nation of Basenda. If you would like to learn more and maybe even join the group, check eternalstalwartsorchestra.org.
So, Krystal, do you have any Easter weekend plans?
I think we're going to Snangelo this weekend and maybe even get some Easter eggs too.
That sounds so much fun. I am doing something similar. I'm going back to Austin just to visit my family for the weekend, maybe see some friends as well.
Well, that sounds really fun.
Yes, I'm super excited. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to check out ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.